right, everybody, we have deck number 2 of the new format with the new cards being released, and it is none other than a tried but true favorite that everybody, I feel like, has tried at one point in this game to make work, and that is the Battlescars deck. And more specifically, with a champion that probably everybody has also tried to make work and has never actually been competitive in Vladimir. And that's right, we are actually going to be playing Vladimir here, and he feels so much better with some of the new support cards that have been released, which we'll go over in just a second. So strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. We have an awesome deck coming up. Just Vladimir. Only champion in the deck, which we'll discuss as well in a moment. But as always, do not forget to subscribe, turn on that bell to get notified when more content goes live. Like the video, of course. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first seemingly possibly competitive Battlescars deck of Legends of Runeterra. Here we go. So here is the deck itself. As per usual, we're going to go through 2 games after the fact as well, so you guys can get to see this deck in action. So I actually went through a lot of different builds with this, and again, similar to the last deck, the other video that was released a couple days ago, where it's not necessarily the final build of the deck. Everything is still changing right now in the metagame. This is kind of what I've landed on, and there are, in my eyes, kind of 2 ways to run the Battlescars type deck. So here is one thing that is no longer going to be questioned with this deck, though, and that is this card, the Scargrounds. This card is absolutely bonkers crazy. It makes this this entire deck so much better than it used to be. It grants allies. So one of the other things, I know the Grand Plaza is a very popular card right now with Demacia, another super strong landmark that was released in this set of cards. The Scargrounds does not just give an ally +1/+1 or something for the round like Grand Plaza does. This grants it +1/+0 and tough. So now this shows me that obviously tough makes sense. That's why people were thinking about running Noxus with Demacia to get that tough tag in there. Now that's not needed, so we can stick with Freljord and still get that tough in there. But it's only giving attack, which leads me to believe that they are, the way that this is designed is still wanting to go towards more of an aggressive attack oriented type deck. Now, with that said, there are 2 different strategies, and mainly because of one particular card, which is not in this deck, which I want to go over, which is, where is he? Where's the Crimson Curator? Here he is. All right. This, and actually, the reason I bring this up is because, what's the name? Boulevard always says the name. I forget the name of this guy. But the Crimson Curator. All right. This guy is, to me, a very control-oriented card. Okay? This is not meant for the aggressive Battlescars deck. So this is just my personal opinion. If I'm running Crimson Curator, I'm going for more of a mid to late game type game. If I'm not running Crimson Curator, I'm running things like Crimson Disciple, as well as just some of the overwhelm stuff, like Scar Mother as an example. Perfect card, gets that overwhelm attribute in there, in addition to giving herself more attack. So this is kind of the route that I went with Scar Mother, with the Scargrounds, and just everything else to go really, really super hyper aggressive. Vladimir in and of himself also does damage to the Nexus, right? Not to mention drains if he's level 2. Still not really crazy about his level 2, but we'll take it. And he does give you the ability to finish off games, though, and he is typically leveled pretty quick in this particular deck. So with that said, we have the transfusions, we have the troll chance. That's kind of like the package that you're always going to run in Scargrounds, regardless, Battlescars, whatever you want to call the deck, regardless of whether or not you're playing control or if you're playing more of an aggressive archetype. What is not always ran is Might. And I very much like this card because it also grants Overwhelm. So we have a lot of cards in here like Unscarred Reaver, Demolitionist, Ember Maiden, Scarthane, like these, Babbling Bjerg even, Crimson Awakener, these don't have Overwhelm. Your top end has Overwhelm. Your mid to early game does not. So a couple things here. It is only for the round, which is unfortunate, but 9 times out of 10, when you're attacking with something like Vladimir, or just you're going to have a big board when you're playing this deck, you're going to want to go in for that big swing at the end of the game. or towards the end of the game, right? We're going to have 4 or 5 units. So generally speaking, you're going to attack with, let's say, 4 units. Your opponent is going to have to commit something first, and then you'll be able to mite whatever, unit is not blocked, or even if it is blocked, just mite whatever is going to get the most overwhelm damage in, right? And because of it's more of like a win more card, I'm not going to lie, but because of its synergy with the other overwhelm stuff, it just further enables you to have that last kind of final push for the victory towards the end of the game, which is, I think, what we're going to see here in these 2 games coming up. So, and Tarkaz, oh my god. Shout out to Tarkaz. I think this deck will actually be a lot better than people think because of Tarkaz. I'm only running 2 right now, but a 5-mana 5/8, technically a 5/7 after he attacks, that's still the strongest 5-drop, right? I love this card. I think this card is going to be one of the key factors in this deck being successful in the future. But, all right, let's get into both of the games of the Battlescars deck. All right, so first up, we have an oldie but goodie in Draven Ezreal, which is, one of the stronger decks, much to my chagrin, in the format of the last, month or two, probably about a month or so, since that last large patch update. So, starting off here, obviously, it goes without saying, you want to, try to mulligan for Scar Grounds if possible. You do want to still throw down a 1 and 2 drop if you have it. So here with the Crimson Disciple. One really important thing I want to go over is the tempo loss when you play a landmark. Specifically with... So we're seeing that with the... I always forget the Demacia one, the Grand Arena, or whatever the heck it is now. You want to make sure you're playing it after your opponent has already committed, and just you want to avoid being able to give your opponent like the green light of, okay, he played a landmark, I can just go all in. Like at this point, we didn't really have a better option but then to play the Scar Grounds here. We could have played Ember Maiden, but it wouldn't really have accomplished too much other than just killing that 1 spider token. Yeah, we would have procced the Crimson Disciple, but it wouldn't have given it tough yet because we don't have Scar Grounds at play, right? So this block is questionable just because of the spinning axe, but I'm okay with allowing that axe to be used if it means discarding another tool from my opponent's hand this early. So they don't do it, which makes sense. Now we are able to start stabilizing and getting some more units to the field with Scar Grounds down. And that's the thing. I mean, that's kind of the trade-off, right? You play the Scar Grounds, you lose tempo, but then the idea is that in the next turn or two, you gain that tempo back with the actual landmarks effect. So we really have to make a good utilization of these effects here. Unfortunately, we didn't really have... Like, I think I really wanted to force playing 2 units here, which is unfortunate because I really would have liked to see the Ember Maiden come down, actually, just to get rid of at least that Spiderling. Would have continued to proc things like the Crimson Disciples effect every turn. And instead, I think we just take this to the face? Oh, no, we have the Troll Chant, and this is why Troll Chant is absolutely amazing. So good. If you're able to set up Ember Maiden, basically what I'm getting at is if you can set up Ember Maiden and Crimson Disciple, like, really early with Scar Grounds, that's incredible. It's going to be an immediate priority target for your opponent to get rid of one of them, right? And it's going to continue to put them on a clock every turn, dealing more damage, which is more of a clock with this deck because you have all the overwhelm stuff, right? And I think my opponent screwed up with the Ravenous Flock there, not realizing the tough, which I'm not going to lie, people misplay a lot with the tough tag. Just be prepared for that. Be prepared for a lot of Darius emotes. So, but yeah, so it's a really powerful combo to get those 2 down early. And if you can do it, definitely do it. And that's the good thing about Ember Maiden in this deck. Like, I think if you're playing the control or the aggressive version, you're including Ember Maiden because it doesn't kill itself anymore. Literally, you just do 1 damage to everything every turn, and she just sticks on the field, which is insane. 1 damage AoE every turn. That's basically 2 damage by the time your opponent has the attack token again. That's an Avalanche. All right, let's throw that out there. Avalanche is actually another option that this deck did not include, at least in this build anyways. Again, I'm going for more so the all-in aggressive type version, so we're not playing Avalanche here. Avalanche does synergize quite well with this deck, though. Basically, allowing you to clear your opponent's field while you not destroying your own. So now we're at that point where we have the ability to play some larger units. It's sometimes pretty crucial as to what you're playing later on in the game with this deck, just because with 7 mana, you feel like you want to play 2 units. Like, we could have played Scarthane and Ember Maiden there, which would have also gotten a lot of work done because we would have procced Legion Veteran every single turn. Legion Veteran, all right, so Legion Veteran and Crimson Curator, no, not Crimson Curator, The one that deals 1 damage to all of your own units, which I barely ever play, so I can't even remember the name of it right now. Both of those cards are much more combo oriented, right? So I think I'm only playing one of the other one. I'm playing 2 Legion Veteran. I like the Legion Veteran more so in this aggressive version because of his ability to just really quickly overwhelm the field, pun intended, with more attack, as you'll see here in just a second. The other one that deals 1 damage to all of your own units, it's good as like a 1-turn finisher, right? You throw that bad boy down on the field, and all of a sudden, especially if you have something like Legion Veteran, all of your effects go off. Even if you don't have Legion Veteran, if you have a Crimson Disciple, that goes off. If you have a Scar Mother on the field, which we have here, that goes off. That now she becomes a 6/7 with Overwhelm and Tough. And you can see here, look at this attack. This is without that card I was just mentioning. Instead, this is really the Legion Veteran that's putting in work here. And I'm hovering the eye a lot. So, all right, listen carefully. Use the eye when you play this deck. Use it well, because you're going to need it. I guarantee you cannot, even if you do the math correctly, we all know I suck at math, so that's not going to happen, but even if you do the math correctly, you'll probably still not have enough time to actually figure out and calculate what everything will be. Because generally in this deck, every single follower or unit is having something happen to it multiple times per turn. It's going to proc 1 effect plus a transfusion. The transfusion goes off, and then the effect of Legion Veteran, and then yada yada, plus the Vladimir effect. So there's lots of stuff going on. So you got to be careful. But there's Vladimir's ability too, right there, to kind of close out the game as well. Vladimir doing a good job of just pushing that additional damage through. It's weird. Vladimir feels like he should just be like a one-off finisher, but he's not. Because he doesn't do quite, because now, especially with Scar. So here's the problem with Scar Grounds and other landmarks for that, like the Grand Plaza, for example. It takes up a unit slot, and that's actually a pretty big disadvantage. So now there's 2 disadvantages to playing a landmark, right? You have the tempo loss in mana and just kind of signaling to your opponent if you're getting it down early, hey, I don't have any units this turn. You can just go in for a full face attack next turn, which sometimes is pretty bad versus aggro. But you're also taking up a unit slot. And it's funny because the Grand Plaza and Scar Grounds are both landmarks where the decks that they're played in want to have a lot of units on board. So it's almost anti-synergistic. Is that a word? It's almost anti-synergy with Vladimir, because Vladimir wants more units. Vladimir wants the units to be able to proc Vladimir's effect. So you really got to think carefully, like I said, of how early you want to play this Scar Grounds. Now, that does not mean it's bad. It's 100% good in this deck. That's why the effect is so powerful. I think the cards are actually balanced quite well, but just be careful and be aware of how many units you're getting on the field and what units specifically you're getting on the field as well, because you want the most impactful ones. One of the reasons actually why this 1-drop that you see on the field, actually thinking about not running her at all, she's really, so again, we're playing the aggressive version, so the idea is you want to go aggressive as quickly as possible and try to go for, that turn 6 or 7 swing of just, we win the game with overwhelm units and stronger units than you, right? Because you look at something even like Legion Veteran, that's a 4/5 body for 4 mana. Those are big units. Like, this deck just plays larger, better units than most of the other decks, right? So you generally want to be going in on turn 6 or 7. What I'm finding is that this 1-drop is actually taking up a space on the field that you could probably fill by turn 6 or 7, because you usually, your units are sticking around because of this tough tag. So in future builds, I would actually highly recommend to not play lower cost units. You might not even want Imperial Demolitionist, which is also in this deck. As much as she deals additional damage, she takes away another slot. And I think that's super, super important, again, just based on Scar Grounds taking over a spot. So there is a Captain Farron in hand. I want to touch on this real quick. There's only one in this deck. I'm also undecided on this card. This is meant as an over-the-top finisher. This is meant as if your opponent is still hanging on by a thread by turn 7, right? Then on turn 8, you have the Decimate, you have the Reach, you're good to go. And generally speaking, because you'll have a Vladimir down, you'll be able to survive a couple turns because of his Drain effect, where you'll be able to stick around and play the Decimates. I I don't know. There wasn't a lot of cases where I wasn't able to finish off the game by turn 6, 7, or 8 without Captain Farron, like you're seeing here, right? So I don't know if he's really worth it or not. He seems okay versus maybe some control matchups. Maybe I just didn't get a whole lot of control matchups, but overall, this is what you want, though. This is the board that you want. You want Vladimir going in on turn 6, on turn 8, on turn 5, or turn 7, depending on, whenever it is he hits the board. And, yeah, his effect plus all of the other chain reaction that he's going to set off of Legion Veteran and Crimson Disciple and all these other effects, Scarmother Verin, I always butcher her name. You're going to have such a large overwhelm field that you will have no choice but to win the game. All right, and there's my version of Battlescars, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely play this deck. It's fun. There's so many cards you can switch out and change up to, and I think that's one of the things that this new card release really did to the game is there is a lot of very minor changes you can make to decks now and still have them be good, right? You don't just have to net deck, whoever's deck that won the last tournament because that's the way to play it. You have to do it card for card. You can swap out a couple cards and have them still be incredibly good because of, I don't know, just how balanced in general the card pool is. And some of the new cards kind of show that because they're so strong. So really loving the new cards, really having a blast with them right now. I'm hoping to do maybe a Teemo video. When I'm saying Teemo that I'm having fun with this, all right? I'm just saying, there's a little bit of Teemo action. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, and as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.